You're going to enjoy this segment today on In the Word. Today, our special guest is Paul Traver, and his wife is named Lori, and they are missionary pastors in Germany. This past year, in 2019, we were in the Ukraine, and then we were traveling to Germany, and we had a chance to meet Paul. In fact, he had us come and preach at his church, True Life, there in Germany, and they're an exceptional couple, and they're doing such a great job in Germany. And so I hope you enjoy this segment as he brings to you in the Word.
Hello, Pastor Jim. Hello, Pam. And greetings, Warwick Assembly, from Kaiserslautern, Germany. My name's Paul Traver, and my wife Lori and I have been the pastors here in Kaiserslautern for now 3 years. In fact, we arrived here in June of 2017. And so Pastor Jim had asked if I would share with you an encouraging word today for your devotions. And the word I wanted to share with you actually comes from an experience in my life. In fact, my wife and I and our marriage, our lives together in ministry. We've now been in ministry for just about 30 years. We've been married for 29 years. I was an intern at a church in California, and we had been dating, of course, during that time. And so we stepped into marriage in 1991. And so God has been very faithful during this journey of ours. And what I wanted to share with you today is about the pivot points that we have experienced in our ministry life. And I call those transition times or transition points. Now, with that, I want to share with you the idea of an anchor point. Now, I share this because obviously I'm not a mountain climber, and I'm speaking of traditional mountain climbing. That traditional mountain climbing was with anchors and carabiners and rope and the whole thing. Because I've never done it, I can only share this analogy with you because of some things that I've learned and read, but also I've had friends that have done it. These anchor points are positions in our walk with God where God puts down something that we can center around. For Lori and I, we had actually stepped into ministry in 1991, around the time that we had gotten married. I had served as an intern, but we assumed the position of youth pastor and young adult pastor in that timeline. Now, we had served at the church for almost 9 years. It was 1998 that we stepped down. God was very faithful during that time, but around that period of time that we stepped down, God had transitioned us to Colorado. When we arrived in Colorado in late 1999, it was something I had not expected. I thought we were going to go there and we were going to jump right back into ministry, but that wasn't the case. God had different plans. And so during this time, this waiting period of our life, it lasted about 4.5 years. God was doing some work on the inside of me, and He was transforming me. But I didn't know the whole picture. Well, during this time, because I had anxiety, I had some fear, I was a little distraught. I was kind of going, God, what are you doing? What's happening? Where are you? God gave me the scripture, Psalm 138, verse 8, and it basically says this: I will fulfill my purpose for you. When I read this, I sensed in my spirit that what God was saying to me was, son, I'm going to take care of everything I said I was going to take care of. I've got to complete this work, and I will continue to complete this work in you. Just like Philippians 1:6 says. It says to us that God will complete the work that He began in us. He doesn't plan on stopping. He's faithful. And so God reassured me, and He said, basically, you are going to be okay. Just trust me. Okay, Lord. So with that was Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge Him and He will direct your paths. Whew, man, that was good. I needed that word. Well, shortly after that 4.5 year period of time, God transitioned Lori and I into ministry once again. This time we were going to be senior pastors. We were pastoring in a place called Springfield, Colorado. God allowed us to be able to serve there from 2005 till 2014. Around the time that God started speaking to us about stepping down as pastors, He had also been putting into our hearts missions. Lori and I have always loved missions. We've always had a heart for missions. We've always supported missions. We believe in missionaries. And now God was starting to take us and give us a heart, a compassion, a desire to be on the mission field. Well, I was almost 50 years old, and I said to God, I said, Lord, I've loved missions, thank you, but why now? I know this sounds crazy, but it's like, Lord, I don't know if I can be a missionary. I could do the senior pastor thing. Now, please understand, that doesn't mean it was easy. That doesn't mean that I was operating out of the flesh. What I was saying is with the senior pastor ministry, I kind of understood what was necessary and what was needed. And so in some ways it was kind of predictable, but not so much predictable as I was working out of myself. I still needed to trust God. I still needed to depend on Him. Prayer was what got me through. His word is what got me through. But going on the mission field, that was a whole different story. And I was a little uneasy with it. I was excited, but uneasy. And so I said, God, how am I going to do this? How's this going to work? And all of a sudden, He dropped in my spirit Psalm 32, verse 8. For I will guide you and I will instruct you in the way that you should go, and my faithful eye will be upon you. And immediately at that moment, He just reaffirmed to me, son, don't worry about all the details. I'll take care of everything. I just need you to trust me. Whew, man, I felt His peace. I said, okay, God. And so during our time of itinerating, where we're raising our funds and we're talking to people, God kept telling me, you just share the message and I'll take care of the finances. Okay, God. Well, here we are, roughly almost three years later after we started that itineration. God brought us here to Germany, and we've been pastoring a wonderful group of people. Yes, our church takes care of the military. It was planted in the 60s. It's been here for over 50 years, ministering to the military in this community. And by the way, this is the largest population of Americans outside the United States. We have roughly 50 to 60,000 U.S. service personnel here. So it's a big field to be reaching. God has been faithful. So what I want to share with you today is this word of encouragement. I don't know what you're going through. I don't know what you're dealing with. I do know that, oh my, this stay-at-home order, this quarantine is enough to deal with. But you may be wondering, God, what are you going to do with me next? God, what is going to happen with tomorrow? God, how am I going to function with our family? Are you moving us? Maybe not moving. Maybe you've lost your job and you're wondering where you're going to work next. Or maybe you're wondering where you're going to live next. Or maybe you're wondering, what is God going to do with you in ministry? I don't know. I don't know what you're going through, but I do know this, that God is the same God as He was with the Israelites in Egypt and He led them out. He's the same God that He was with Esther and all that took place with the exiles in Babylon. He's the same God that ministered to Daniel when he was in the lion's den and kept him from being devoured by hungry lions. He's the same God that parted the sea for the Israelites to cross. He's also the same God that poured out His Spirit on 12 men. Probably 12 guys you and I wouldn't pick to be on our team. But He poured out His Spirit. He's the same God that raised Jesus from the dead. He's the same God that knew you in your mother's womb before any one of your days came into being. And what He is asking us is that we would delight in Him. Psalm 37 verse 4 says, take delight in the Lord, and He will give you your heart's desires. That delighting is basically this: learning to bow down before Him. It's not about you. It's not about me. It's all about Him. So thank you for joining me today. I trust that you will do well and be encouraged. And remember, all of your answers can be found right here. Step into God. get into His Word, and learn to trust Him. Thank you, and God bless. Bye.